Alright, in this video I'm going to go through 5 common mistakes that a lot of ranked players do, and that is holding people back from being able to rank up and being able to get better at the game. Now I'm going to go straight into it and not waste any time. The first thing is sprinting in the building. This is a really big mistake that a lot of people do in ranked, especially even in the higher ranks where people are like just trying to be frag heavy and try and get loads of kills to try and get like Aggie and run around and sprint around the building. Now, this is a rule that you should follow whenever you're inside of the building, because there's always going to be a possibility of a defender being somewhere in a rack corner in the next room, and because the sprinting makes so loud sound, you're basically just a free kill if they catch you sprinting. It takes so long to first of all even just aim down sight if you're not already ADSing, and then if you add the time of having to stop sprinting and then start ADSing, I'm going to tell you that in probably 8 out of 10 times you will lose that fight, barring the random sort of whiff from the enemy and then you shit on them, which is obviously something you can't rely on for the sake of consistency. You can't just consistently rely on the enemy to whiff. That is not a good thing to do, right? It takes so long to aim down sight in general, so why would you want to add extra time to that? Just stop sprinting in the building. It's simple as just have a bit of patience and play the game and go through it like step by step. Don't just rush around the map trying to find frags. The second mistake I see a lot of people doing is not playing the meta. In Siege, there is always going to be a meta set of operators. There is always going to be overtuned operators compared to others, and there's always going to be different like meta shifting things that happen within the game. Different like patches that change an operator to make them better or worse. You need to figure out what this meta is and use it. Why would you not want to make the game easier for yourself? Why would you make the game harder for yourself by not playing the broken operators? It comes to a point where at that point you're basically just trolling if you don't. There's always going to be a few operators that are overtuned in any sort of meta. For example, right now, some like powerful operators are Fenrir, Solus, Azami, Dogaby, Ying, and Valk. So why not get used to playing these operators that are already good, and then get good with them and become even better? The third mistake is kind of similar to the other one, but not so much operator related, and this is not playing to your strengths. You will know as a player how good you are at things, at certain like aspects of the game. You will know that if I do this swing, I usually get a kill from this, or if I do this swing, I might die from this. I die a lot doing this. So then you can kind of fine tune your own gameplay to be like, okay, well if I always die playing this angle, I'm not going to play this angle, or I'm going to play this angle differently. Or if I always get a kill from here, then I'm going to keep abusing this and keep trying to get kills from this spot. You'll know where you are as a player in your abilities to know how you should go about. Again, this also comes into like the operators that you're playing, in that if you're a frag heavy player, you don't want to be the thermite player. If you're a really aggressive player, you want to be on the more aggressive operators. You don't want to be on the droning duty because you're too aggressive as a player. And like, you want to play to where you are good and where your strengths are, not to where you feel like you're forced to play. And in them situations where you're playing where you feel like you're forced to play, in these different situations, you're going to make mistakes. You're not going to play it right. If you're playing to where you are good, you will play it much better in every scenario. The fourth mistake that people do is not thinking about the number count of the round. So let's use this example. If you're a roamer, it's a 5v2. How would you go about this situation? You've like got maybe 3 kills, now a 5v2. What would you do? Would you go back to site and play with your team on site? Or would you try and find the rest of the 2 kills to get an ace or to just win the round outright? In 9 out of 10 situations, the best play would be to fall back to site and refrag off your team. Even if it's a 5v4, even if you get the first opening kill, in a lot of situations the best play would be to stack up with your teammates, because then if you can win every single round just by refragging off the teammates because you got that first pick. So it goes from a 5v4 to a 4v3 to a 3v2 to a 2v1 to a 1v0. If you trade out every single death, that's how it goes down, and you win every single round by default. Obviously it doesn't play out like that in the game, but that is just generally how you want to how them situations should play out if you play it right. So in any situation where you have the numbers advantage, and then when it comes to rounds where you have the disadvantage, let's say you're playing like a flex roll and your entry frag has just run around the map and died straight away trying to spawn peek. Now it gets to a point where you're in a 4v5, which can really easily turn into a 3v5, then even a 1v5, and the enemies can just run away with the lead. So what you will need to do is you need to be active to try and stop this happening. If you go into like a 4v5 or like a 3v5 situation, you want to coordinate with your teammates to try and get the numbers back in your favour. You want to coordinate some kind of aggressive play to get the man count back. Even if it's a solo play, if you're not coordinating with your team, you want to do something, because at that point, if you just let them keep that advantage, it's going to end up in a lost round because you've done nothing, because you're not active in the round, you're not actively thinking about the round and trying to develop a solution. You need to be actively thinking about how you can counter the enemies within Siege, because the game is so like different. Every single round is a different round. You need to be active in your mental, like active trying to think of counters and think of solutions, because if you're not, the enemy are, and they will win the round. Now the final sort of mistake that I see a lot of people doing is blaming and flaming. Now it's very easy, especially when you're solo queuing, to blame lost rounds on other players or other things that are out of your control. However, the best players are the ones that blame lost rounds on themselves. Not in a way to put yourself down, not in a way to sort of shit on yourself for being a bad player, but as a way to learn from the experience. In every lost round, there is a part where you fucked up. There is a part where you made a mistake, because if you lost that round, you probably died. So you made some kind of mistake in order to die, right? There's maybe 1 in 10 situations where you didn't make any mistakes and you died, or you died like a lucky wallbang or something. That you can't help. However, there's the majority of situations, if you're not lying to yourself, there is a round where there is a part in the round where you made a mistake to lose the round. You need to figure out what that mistake is and learn from it and not do it again. And it's easier said than done, because if there's so many things that you can blame, there's so many external factors, like your randoms in the game might be rubbish, but you can't think about things that are out of your control. If I'm sitting there playing the game and I'm just thinking about what my teammates are doing, I'm not thinking about what I'm doing, I'm not thinking about my strategy for that round, I'm not thinking about how I can counter the enemies. All I'm thinking about is, this guy is fucking shit, right? I'm not thinking about how I'm going to improve. You need to not do this. You need to focus on you, because you can't control what your teammates are going to do if you're solo queuing. You can't control what your randoms are going to do. They're going to do whatever the hell they want to do. You need to do what you can do to win the round. And you need all of your mental ability to be able to do this. You can't be sitting there focusing on what your teammates are doing. Alright, so that's all for this video. If you enjoyed, drop a like, and I'll see you in the next video.